Hi, my name is Pat Haley. I'm a principal sales engineer here at Uptycs. And at Uptycs, we provide an endpoint security analytics platform built on top of Osquery. Today we're going to talk about incident investigations using Osquery and the Uptycs platform. Let's first start talking about the strengths of Osquery and what it brings to the table. So as you know, Osquery is an open source, cross-platform endpoint agent from Facebook. They're the two of the biggest strengths right there. Open source and cross-platform. Supports Mac, Windows, Linux, Docker containers. Everything that you might have within your environment. Next is the ability to collect a robust data set from any of your endpoints. Especially for incident investigations, data is king, and you need this level of data to really do a good job of investigating. The next big advantage or strength I see is that it's very lightweight. So your users won't be impacted, your servers won't be impacted. It's simply going to collect the data you need without taking up the resources of those machines. And lastly, I would say that Osquery is very extendable. So if it can't do something today, you always have the opportunity to extend it to do something different. Now, having such a fantastic tool makes a lot of sense for the collection of data and for investigation specifically. But there are some challenges. Specifically, I would call out these three challenges right here. One is that Osquery was designed for a single host. Ask a question of that host and get that data back. If you need to deploy and manage that on multiple machines, that's something that you need to build and maintain the architecture or the infrastructure for. Second is that there are no pre-built queries with Osquery. You need to determine what questions you want to ask, how often you want to ask them, what you want to do with that data. So just one more thing that you need to take on yourself. And third is that there's no correlation with external data. So if you're looking to use third-party threat intelligence, for example, that's not something that you can do within Osquery itself. Again, you need to build that infrastructure to manage and do that correlation. So there are significant hurdles to building out and maintaining your own architecture to support Osquery at scale. That's where we come in at Uptycs. Our platform is the fastest way to deploy and manage Osquery at scale. And what you'll see from this high-level visual is that, starting on the left, what we do is we manage Osquery and all of the configuration data necessary. So everything that we've sort of described before in that first big challenge, we take care of. Next, we securely transmit that data over TLS in a key value pair object stored as JSON, and that gets pushed to our purpose-built backend. It's perfectly structured Osquery data that we take in and then make available for all of these different use cases that we're talking about. So if you needed to do historical state recreation, you can use our time machine interface in order to look back at your historical data. If you wanted to do real-time ad hoc queries against your fleet, you could do that directly from our platform. And then, of course, you can correlate all of the Osquery data with threat intelligence for the purposes of detection or alerting and reporting, all directly within our platform. So a very powerful way to take advantage of Osquery at scale. Now, talking about investigation scenarios, let's talk about a real-world scenario and where this comes into play. Let's say that in your environment, you detected two different events happening within a couple of minutes of each other. The first event might be a connection attempt out to a known bad domain, or maybe a newly registered domain. And then the second event would be maybe the execution of a netcat process just a couple of minutes later. If you were to see those two events occur within a couple of minutes of each other on the same host, that's something you'd want to investigate further, right? And if you had somebody in the SOC that was eyes on glass at that time that saw that alert, the first thing you might want to do is, in real time, at that moment, what other systems are running netcat? Like, where do we see that process? This first query, if you were to send this into the Uptycs platform in a real-time mode, you'd be able to get back the PID, the name, the path, and the command line from any process with the name of netcat. So really easily across your fleet, you'd understand where netcat's running and the details behind that. Now, in this real-world scenario, more often than not, you're looking back historically as part of your investigation though, right? And so what you might do is take that same query there, send it through the time machine interface to understand historically when have we seen netcat execute and on what hosts. Similarly, if you take that second event from our scenario, the known bad domain or newly registered domain, You might want to know historically what systems have ever tried to contact that domain. This second query here gives you exactly that. Select host and time from DNS lookup events where answer, that is the DNS answer, equals the bad domain. So that's a query that you can use to really understand the scope of assets that were ever attempting to contact that bad domain, and then run your investigation or IR playbooks from there. Hopefully you've seen how the combination of Osquery and the Uptycs platform can really be used from an investigative standpoint and the power that we provide right out of the box. If you have any questions, please do visit our website at uptycs.com. Thank you very much.